Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Palm Wine Central podcast episode. This is a very special episode, y'all. I'm gonna title this one, pouring truth, navigating love, loneliness, legacy. Um, 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 anyways, I'm one of your hosts, Uncle AK. With me, I got a packed house of ladies. To my upper right, Whitney. Welcome back to Palm Wine Central podcast. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Straightforward. Okay. Mane, how you doing?
I'm jet lagged, but I'm hanging in there.
Asha, thank you for joining us in your jet lag. Miss Lee, what up, though?
What's good? How are you?
How you feeling?
I'm good.
Wonderful. And my two hosts, Tutu, what do you do?
Happy Tuesday, everyone.
Therese, how you doing today?
I am good. I'm ready for this. Let's go.
Yeah, so today we're deep diving into the messy, magical world of love, family expectations, and the $1,000,000 questions. Oh, what's question again? Are we too picky or just misunderstood? Grab your drink, whatever your flavor is, and let's dive into it. Let's get it. But wait, before we really jump into it, there's an icebreaker question as usual. A clip will go, but you guys already have it. And I believe is where they said Obama was saying he's in a deficit because, I don't know, somebody else can explain this thing. I forget already what it is. Please, somebody, it just came
That he's in a deficit with Michelle because he ran for 2 terms or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So he has to make up, I guess, something. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, and that she mentioned that he was all about the presidency and not so focused on family, which was a little bit, frustrating to her, I guess. So, what did you guys think about that, that little clip?
I think it was misconstrued.
Elaborate, please.
I think with all relationships, especially when you've been with somebody for that long, you kind of have to be very inventive of how you kind of jazz things up. And of course, this is a man who was basically one of the most powerful men in the world at some point. So, he evidently probably wasn't able to spend a lot of time with Michelle. So, I think it was misconstrued also based on, I think, an interview that Michelle did, where she said that for a lot of her marriage, she hated Barack or very much disliked him. But that's with all relationships. I think when you're allowing the person to grow, and both you guys are growing differently and into different people, it's gonna affect the relationship. And then again, I think being with somebody for that long, you kind of have to, I guess, be more creative on how you spend time with them and have to choose the person every day. And, that was maybe like a good choice, or that wasn't an option at the time of his presidency because, he was running a lot of world affairs. But I think a lot of people took it as there was trouble in paradise, which wasn't the case. That's just how relationships work. When we look at our parents, some of them are still able to be very lovely and touchy-feely, but at some point, they're just tenants living in the same house and paying rent. But, there's still love there. But, of course, you get over the honeymoon phase, I guess.
Okay. Good answer. Anybody else want to take on that?
I think it's very valid. Being a president would take pretty much everything out of you. I think there's certain jobs that are more like a calling than a regular job, where if you undertake, something has to give. And yes, I do believe that, he ran into a deficit because, your world leader, they can call you up at any time. They can't go on dates like normal people. They can't do normal couple stuff, So, I believe that he's in deficit, and I believe that it only makes sense that now that he has the time for him to want to make it up, to his wife. That was 8 years of their marriage. I don't think that could have been any easier on either of them or even on their children. So I think both things are true and valid. I don't know why people are all up in arms saying that, you can't satisfy women. He ruled the world and she could have understood. It doesn't matter. They were married. When she married him, she did not. It's different when you marry someone who is on the road to presidency, as opposed to you marry someone and then they get to assume that kind of responsibility along the line. It's an adjustment for both of you. So let them leave that people enjoy their marriage.
Okay. Valid point. Valid point. Any other takers?
I mean, I agree with Perez. I feel like they're making it a bigger deal than it is. I think she's just talking about the reality of just being in. I think people are more shocked that it came from like Michelle. I think so because you would not think that a president's wife, because you look at them with so much honor and respect, you don't think that they go through the same life struggles like any other couple. So that's basically what it was. They went through a struggle. It is a difficult adjustment. To add to what Therese said, whether even, let's say the person was on the road, it's still going to be an adjustment, because if you've never experienced that kind of that is a huge change. And to add on to that, he was the first black president. So the kind of pressure he had on him was not the same like other presidents did. So it was that makes it even more challenging. And then, but it doesn't take away that it's going to affect your relationship. It doesn't take away that it's going to affect your family. Sometimes in this kind of thing, if you don't have a supportive partner, you may lose the partner, unfortunately. But thank God enough, they stayed together and she stayed together. But yeah, unfortunately, her marriage suffered while he was thriving in his presidency. But yeah, so yes, he is in a deficit. Yes, he should make up, and that's life. It happens.
I mean, I think we're all kind of saying the same thing when it comes to it, where it's just, I feel like people are just taking stuff and just misconstrue. It's not really that deep that people are making it seem. Because like exactly what Whitney was saying, because we hold them to such a high standard, it's like, oh my God, we wouldn't expect her to say these things. But what she was saying wasn't really even, like, it came off like as if it was trouble in paradise when it really wasn't. She was just literally, like you said, it was explaining the reality of life after presidency. So I, like Therese said, that's not even in our tax bracket. I beg, please, let's just let them people be and keep it pushing. So yeah.
I agree with everybody else. Going back to reading her book, it did mention that there were times that she had to hold the kids down while he was on the road doing whatever he was doing. And he eventually had to go to therapy. He wanted them to go to therapy together, but he did not want it. But she did go ahead, and I think through therapy, she learned that on the journey of life in marriage, that whole concept of 50-50 is not always going to be. So it got to a point where, because she used to want to wait for Barack to come back so they'll have dinner together and then they'll put the kids to bed together and all of that. But in therapy, she had to learn that if she felt that, her kids having the same bedtime routine and the whole dinner and all of that, she would have to take care of that herself. And then whenever Barack could make it, he would make it, and when he couldn't, he couldn't. So yeah, it makes sense that I don't know that he can fill the deficit. I just think that he can pick up from wherever he left off and keep it going, because his kids are all grown and out now. So and yeah, sure, the presidency does not allow for the typical regular, date nights and all whatnot. So hey, and they're both well-educated people or well-knowledgeable people, so they'll figure it out.
Yeah. I could only see the checks that they got when they left the presidency. That will help them. They can pay for much therapy that they need. Fly to anywhere that they can. Probably buy a private jet too and live in it if they want in the sky. Who knows, man? Who cares? It's their world. Let them live in it. Hey, any of you have downloaded her podcast? Any of you following her podcast?
Yeah. The light we carry.
Yeah, I think something like that.
Yeah, that's based on her second book.
Oh, nice. Anyways, you guys should go support, our future First Lady President of America, speaking into existence. Anyways, let's move on. Thank you guys for sharing, very, 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 very dope opinions there. But let's switch it up a little bit like this, right? Why we're really here. And I want us to start like this. So imagine, you are a flavor of wine. It could be food, whatever, what flavor, whatever you might pick, but just know you got to back this up, right? What unique flavor do you think you bring to a relationship? It might not be present, it could be past, or something in the future that, you are aspiring or hoping, right? Too often, right, we focus on asking, like, what does this person bring to the table? What does that person bring to the table? So think about you yourself as that flavor. Like, what do you bring to the table in terms of flavor, and why?
I would say if I had to be a flavor, I would say tangy. I would say tangy because I am sweet, but I do have my rah-rah side. So when you think of tangy, or maybe like a sweet chili, I would say that probably so people can understand sweet chili. It's like you're sweet, literally sweet, but you also do have that fairy side, like a little spice to it, a kick. And with that being said, I bring when it comes to the sweet part, I'm very, very caring, very. When I love hard. I'm very, like I'm all in. When it comes to the chili side, I don't back down in a sense. I'm not saying that I don't. Now, I'm not saying I retaliate with everything, but I also am not one to let somebody just walk all over. Like, I'm gonna say what I have to say respectfully, but you're also gonna understand where I'm coming from.
I think I'll consider myself as salt. I go with everything. You have to take me in a certain dosage. If you don't pay attention, you might not eat your food. I preserve. I think that's a good description of me. I look harmless, but I can sting. Salt looks like sugar. Yeah. And then I bring all the flavor. I bring good tasting to your meals. There's no meal you can cook without salt. I think that's me. I'm very adaptable. That's one good thing about me. I'm very adaptable. So yeah.
You thought about this one well and proper.
I did.
All right, whoever's coming after her, please, money.
I want to believe I'm sweet. I'm sweet, sweet, and then when I go sad, that's it. Like, it takes a lot for me to get to the sour patch, and once I get there, it's hard to sweeten.
Okay. Whitney.
I'm here still thinking. When I think about it, I'm thinking literally like my favorite drink, like a pina colada. So I'm sweet and sour. I will say a little bit. When you have like a pineapple that is, it can either be sweet or sometimes it'll eat you, but it'll give you that little sour, and it stings you like that. I can be like that. I'm mostly sweet, but yeah, I'm very direct. Like Tutu, I will tell you my mind. I think I am very caring. I bring common sense. I will figure it out. I very adaptable as well. But yeah, and I'll tell you my mind. I'm usually not scared to tell you how I feel about something. Yeah.
Okay. And Miss Lee, what you got?
I would say, you said drink, right?
Could be food.
Or food. I would say just water. It's not, it might not always be your drink of choice, especially when you want to have something sweet, but I'm definitely something that will nourish you. And even if it's not your choice of drink, you're definitely gonna leave very differently. I've been told that I'm somebody who always makes the individual that I'm with think. So I will always make you think about the very deep parts of yourself, and maybe really understand yourself and question your who you are. And I think with water is good for you. And it's nourishing again. It might not always be what you want, but it's what you need. So yeah, I'd say water.
I thought about these things so voila. So we had salt, water, sour patch, straightforward. What else?
Pina colada
Yeah,
and sweet chili. Wait, sweet?
yeah, sweet chili. Sweet chili. Yeah.
This man says straightforward. What's your flavor?
It gotta be ecstasy.
Huh?
Ecstasy.
That's not even a food or a drink.
I don't understand.
Oh Lord.
Wait a minute. So
Maybe an
wait.
explanation will
Whatever
help.
the drink is, it makes you feel that way.
Yeah, whatever
Ecstasy, because when you say ecstasy, yeah, explain please.
whatever you take it with. It could be water, it could be alcohol, whichever. It's just it's about how you feel, how you want to feel in that given moment, right? That's how you're going to feel. So however you're feeling, I come in and I make it a lot better. You want to be sad? No problem. I can help you be that. You want to be happy? I can help you be extremely happy. So whichever one I am.
Oh Lord.
Like ecstasy?
Yes.
Ecstasy, sis.
Oh.
Right.
Like the pill. Like the pill ecstasy.
Wow.
Are you not supposed to give you like a high?
That's not is that a flavor? I don't know. Is it
It's a drug.
right? I know it's a drug, so I'm okay.
It's not a food or a drink. He's saying that you can put it in. He's trying to say,
It's a feeling.
well, you can put it in food
Feeling,
or
right?
drink.
It gives you a feeling.
So you are a drug.
Yeah, I'm a drug.
You are unhealthy habits.
Very much.
That's a good way to put it.
Very much.
Good to know yourself.
But wait, though, is ecstasy a bad feeling?
No.
I'm sure the come down is terrible.
I don't trust that.
Exactly.
Right. The come down has to be
It's not
terrible.
about feeling. Like I said, right? It depends on how you want to feel, right? Like if you go out, for example, for those who drink, right? If you go out and say, okay, no, even if you don't want to drink, if you go out and say tonight, YOLO, you're gonna go crazy. If you go out and say, I'm about to have a good time, you have a good time. If you want to go out and say, I just want to chill, you will chill, right? So depending on how your mood is, depending on what you want to do, that's what's going to happen.
But ecstasy gives you a high. So what if I don't want to have a high?
Then like everybody else, you don't need to touch it.
Then ecstasy will not be a good description in that case. Then, if I don't want a high,
Then don't touch it.
Yeah, I was even gonna say you're gonna say like spicy nacho or something or something.
Oh, spicy nacho sounds fattening.
Anyways.
But anyways, let's move on. Thank you guys for indulging in my icebreaker question. This was mainly for you guys, not for me. So anyways, let's move on.
That don't mean. Anyways, speaking of things that we bring to a relationship, let's talk family. Our parents give us gifts and baggages. Let's talk about that. What kind of love language did your parents pass on to you? What was your first impression or witness of love like? Just anybody. I'm not going to call anybody. Anybody can go first.
Question. Well, maybe to answer the question, I don't think that parents do give us or their children love languages. it's the way that they interact
Mm-hmm.
that you tend to develop a certain preference for receiving or expressing love. So in my case, I would say, well, based on the love language assessment, my top two is acts of service and quality time. Now, quality time, I wouldn't say that I got it growing up, but it became a thing for me where, because we had like family meetings, family reunions monthly, and I found that like extended family, like cousins and all of that. So I did find that spending time with people that I liked a lot was a way for me to connect and express or receive love. Acts of service, I think that developed growing up because as the first child, there was this expectation or requirement to care for younger siblings and all of that. So yeah, I want to believe that's how my love languages were developed. So acts of service of the first child, serving, caring for my siblings, and then quality time growing up with my little cousins, and so that's how I show love, and that's to me. If anybody shows love in that way, but that's how I receive love, and you put it like that. That's how
Oh,
I
I
show
was
it.
about to ask, is it the same way that you receive?
Yeah, it is.
Mine would be tough love. Because I didn't want to do what was asked of me from the very first time it's asked of me, right? I want to do it on my own time, right? I was damn near every time crying doing something because I either wanted to play video games or do what I wanted to do at that point in time. So it was mostly of always tough love. So now I guess it's more of, in a sense, if the love that I receive, if it's just easy coming, it seems bizarre. Just seems bizarre. Like it's like, whatever. You know what I mean? So sometimes it might come off as nonchalant, like, oh, it does not matter. It does matter. It's just how I've always perceived it. Like, if it's not as tough as it is, it's not really like flashy to me, So I don't know.
So you like to struggle for love? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying struggle for it per se, but you got to repeat itself over and over for me to get it, I guess.
So where would you classify that on the 5 love languages?
It's not there.
Wait, words of affirmation or quality time?
Because that most of these things I never really got. I don't look for them. You know what I mean? Like somebody can tell me, oh yeah, great job. And I feel like, oh yeah, I really did something. I already told myself great job after I did it. You know what I mean? So I'm not looking for somebody to tell me per se. If I need something, I go get it. I'm not looking for somebody to get for me. You feel me? Like things like that. So when I'm looking at like the love language in itself, it's more of you, the person who is giving it. Do you understand your own first? Because I know my own. Do you understand yours? When you understand yours, then together this thing can pop. If not, it's gonna be tough.
What is your aim?
So what's yours?
What's your love language?
Let me come back.
Is it space or understanding?
Let me come back. Hold on.
Okay.
I mean, I see why you would say if it comes straightforward, you would look at it as because that to me, that looks, I feel like we should have had a therapist on this.
What are the 5 love languages again?
Physical touch, acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation,
Acts of service.
acts of service, quality, physical touch, words of
Service will be it.
Yeah.
And gifts.
Yeah.
Acts of service will be it.
I feel like there should be more.
I do think so. I feel like that was a good. The five love languages was nice when it was coined, but I feel like it's not a very
It's not very comprehensive.
passing off. Yes, because a lot of times, like I'm in between some two, or sometimes there's some that you express that is not even on that list. But
Exactly.
anyways, Whitney,
That
what's
list,
I think there is a sixth one. There's a new book on it, but I haven't read
oh
it.
really?
Yeah, somebody told me that there is a sixth love language, or there is a book on more love languages. I haven't read it. I didn't look into it because I'm like,
That would make more sense.
yeah.
Um,
one
going
second.
back,
1 second, Tutu. You know the love language that I really needed though? Money.
that's like acts, gift giving, acts,
Yes.
yeah,
It's
gift
gifts.
giving and acts of service, yeah.
You know, they should separate it from gift giving and just say money.
That's true. Because
Money.
I agree,
a money notification is one of the best things.
Yeah.
that happens to me.
Yeah. Anyway, so,
Ladies and gentlemen, we know how to get to Whitney's heart. We'll drop our cash app down there.
That's right.
Show some love.
so I had to hear coins dropping. Go ahead, Tutu.
What else do you relate to, Whitney?
I'm trying to think about like the parent love. I feel like it's for me was complicated in a sense that it was tough love, but in a different way from him. I grew up in a very like my mom loved me so much that she was so strict, but she was so protective, extremely protective. Because I was her only child. I'm a girl, so she wanted to like in the protection. It made me also like to a certain level. Sometimes it was suffocating, in my opinion. However, it also protected me from a lot of things, which are good things. But also the side effect of that is that it also makes you fear a lot of things, and you don't experience certain things that maybe another person will experience just because you're so shielded from a lot of things. Tough love. My mom she was bent on preparing me for the world, or preparing me for in case she was not here. It was a big thing for her. So that's the way I was raised. So it was a lot of love, but a lot of discipline as well. My love languages, I don't know if there's a connection with it. My own is quality time. That is my biggest thing. And then I was looking at a girl on TikTok, and she said another one, and I was like, that is another strong one. I don't know why it's not on the list, but she said when people do things that you don't ask, it can be, you can say it's acts of service, but it's not necessarily, because like I want you to take on it means you're observing and taking an initiative. You're noticing my patterns and stuff like that, and you do things. I always say I love people who have common sense. You can just feel it blows my mind. I absolutely appreciate stuff like that. So yeah.
I mean, if you read the book, though, that falls within acts of service because the book gives you like different scenarios of how you can classify almost everything. But
I feel like that's the exact definition of it, actually.
yeah,
Probably because I like physical touch too, hugs. If I'm comfortable, I have to be very comfortable with you. If I'm not
have you
comfortable,
taken the quiz? If you take the quiz, it doesn't say that you only have one or two, but it ranks them from the most to your least.
You know, I was about to say, I'm glad that you said that because that was going to be my next thing. A lot of people will say that even though, yes, we'll have I have my two favorite, I guess you could say, but I think when you really think about it, all of those acts of service a person needs, if you really think about it. So like for me, I am a physical touch person, and I am a quality time. I'm starting to learn. So I used to think those are my top two. But then as I was getting older, I'm starting to think like, wait a minute, words of affirmation. I'm a reassurance babe, like reassuring me 24/7. You get what I'm saying? So now I'm starting to think like, okay, words of affirmation is maybe kind of moving up on the scale. And then when I really thought about it, I'm like, well, damn, all of these like things are things that I basically want and need when dealing with someone. But to going back to growing up and family, I didn't really see, it wasn't like affectionate, but all the time, but it was there. So not more so from like my dad, but more my mom. So my mom would give the affection to my dad, and like he would kind of act like, but you know, like he would want it. So I would say there's affection. So that's why I'm very big on affection. Like I'm a hugger. I'm a, you know, all that. But we didn't really see like how you would see some parents, they would kiss and things like that. But I would say that we're always together, whether it be like family trips or just even having dinner. Like my mom used to have this thing like, okay, every Sunday we eat dinner together at the dinner table, just to like kind of regroup and just ask how everybody's week was. So I really like grew up on that, and I'm really big on that. And yeah, I think I answered everything, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's what I basically grew up on. So yeah.
To go ahead.
No.
Oh, to bring it to something you said, right, about physical touch, I think two. When people talk about physical touch, can we really define what physical touch is? Because some, I'm not gonna lie, some of us think it's just sex.
I feel like for me, physical touch is actually, when I think about physical touch, the last thing I think about is sex on it. I think a lot of I could be wrong. A lot of men take it as sex, but for me, it literally is like holding hands, hugs, just sitting like close to each other, like just leaning on each other. That is what I think about first. That is what I am looking for mostly. But yeah, and for me especially, it comes with a lot of comfort and safety for me to be able to just be like, if I don't feel comfortable with safety, please don't touch me. Yeah.
I think Whitney, like same thing for me. It's far apart from as far from the sex.
Yeah.
Sex is a great layer. I'm not gonna lie, but it's not like, oh, like just like what you said. Just you. We don't even have to be just your presence. Like you sitting next to me, it just makes me feel like, okay, like you want to be near me. You want, like I'm wanted. Like your presence is just like, or just even that, you know, like it's like you want me. And then even like the holding hands, I'm a big hugger. Like I said, like I love hugging or just like touching or something like that. I don't know. I'm just like very touchy feely, but that's the same thing with me.
And then lastly, for words of affirmation, right? Is it something you give to freely?
What do you mean by give freely?
No, as much as you want common sense, right? And I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general. Like, as much as you want common sense, do you give common sense, right? As much as you want, as much as you want all these like words of affirmation, right? And I know it might not be your love language, but at some point in time too, the feeling got to be reciprocated, right? Do you also find yourself learning to give this, or is it just, oh, you know what, this is what I want, and I'm gonna have this, and I'm not gonna give it back?
I feel like it is important to learn, now that I've grown up, it is important to learn your partner or whoever you're with love language. I'm not big on words of affirmation. Is nice, but it's not it's not a major thing for me, as other people need it. However, if I'm with a partner or I'm dating somebody, or just even we're talking about partner, even like with friends and family, whatever your love language is, I will learn it. If somebody likes word of affirmation, then I will do it for them, because that's what keeps them going. That what makes them feel good. Whatever it is that it is theirs, I will learn and adjust and try to meet them in the middle. Even something that I'm uncomfortable with, I feel like it's important to learn and meet them in the middle and do it, because that's the way they feel loved.
I think Manny kind of, I don't know if she touched on that in terms of, well, I don't think you can get your love language from your parents, more so like qualities that you like from them. I think your love language is based on experiences of like knowing yourself and, your relationships and what you like. And I think qualities are more so in of course, growth and experience too, but you can see those experiences and those qualities in your parents. So for example, for me, my dad does a lot of active services for my mum, especially still now. So he's very big on, she's had a long day, he will be cooking. He has no problem doing that. He has no problem, and he makes sure that even if she's on her day off, on a Saturday morning at 8 a.m. he's downstairs making breakfast and he'll bring it up to my mum. So that's the sort of, I guess, act of service is not really my type of love language, just because I feel like it's something that I expect you to do. And it's not as special, like, say, for example, like words of affirmations or like physical touch. Because I feel like physical touch and also, so I think I wouldn't say love language from my parents. I think my love language has come from my experiences. But I would say one of the qualities that I do like from my dad is his thoughtfulness. And if we have to give a vocabulary for it, also acts of services. And I think my love language would definitely be all of them combined. I also agree with the point that I think those 5 are not enough. I think there's many different love languages because we're very different people in life. So not everybody is going to, as broad as they're trying to make the term so that it encompasses a lot of different things. I like somebody who pays attention to detail. And of course, when you pay attention to detail, there's usually an action that follows it. But it reassures me that person, it really does care enough about me that he notices that even the little things. So I think that's what my love language is. Based on experiences, that's something that I've understood about myself that I enjoy. And for my parents, I would say I can see that they are very vibrant, and the qualities in life that they've taught me was that you still have to choose your partner every day, despite how long you've been with the person. You have to continue choosing them and showing them how you love them. So that's the qualities that I like from my parents. And my love language is attention to detail.
Is there anybody's love language that, normally sometimes it changes from when you're young and you grow up, when you start understanding things for yourself and getting to know yourself? Does anybody find that how they express and receive love now is like a way to counteract, like when you were younger, like say, like Mane gave the example of she's the oldest child. You had to be the one expectation to take care of younger ones. And then you grow up after having done so much for people. And then you grow up to kind of offset that. Your love language now is acts of service. It's like, let me receive the things that I've been given so much to people. Does anyone find that their love language does that it just kind of counteracts that? And how does that play out for you?
Nobody should do that. Let's not hit me with that. Please don't ever hit me with that. Like God gave you that kindness to share to us. Matter of fact, I didn't ask for you to be first. So please assume your responsibility, play it very well, so that we cannot come and blame you that you led us down the wrong path. So no, we are not coming to come and give you give you nothing. It was your responsibility, so play it very well. That's all I have to say to that. Do you pay your parents for what they have done for you this far? Have you paid them? Anyway, sorry, guys. I took over.
I think that was what she was saying. I think she was saying in terms of, how you, of course, there's a level of self accountability. You need to be able to know yourself and know your boundaries, right? So that you don't get drained. I think she's asking maybe, is it something that you overdid as a child that now you've understood that
you didn't get and now you crave it,
right?
Because you never got it before.
Yeah. So I think for me, I would say acts of service, because I was doing everything and anything for everybody, but not getting it back for myself. So I craved it in, I think, the wrong people and the wrong things. But also as an adult, what I would say is that I still want that. And I've accepted and acknowledged that is something that I want, but it comes from myself, and that I've had to set boundaries. It's not something that I now crave, but it's something that I now demand, or I believe that I I'm worthy of receiving it, rather than it being something that I was per se craving or begging for. So that thing, I'll say acts of service was definitely one of those things.
Excuse me. How do you demand it?
By demanding it for myself.
I mean, like, how do you demand it? Like, say, for example, from somebody that you potentially with your potential partner, how do you demand that?
I think you demand it by the way you carry yourself. I think also one of the things that I like to do when I'm dating is I understand that people are not always going to be able to read your mind. So you should like them to pay attention to details. So you have to tell them what it is that you like. And it's very, very important for you to be able to articulate yourself and what your needs are, and to be able to stand on it. So it's not necessarily and when I say demand, it's not necessarily that I want this or I expect you to do this or whatnot. It's I will tell you once, and I'll watch and observe how you go ahead and do it. And based on how I'm able to give that to myself now, that's how you demand it, based on how I treat myself. So there's certain things where now in relationships, how a man, like doors, just like opening doors. I know that that's a very small thing, but that's something that my brothers do for me, and I would like for my partner to also do for me. And that's something that I've also seen again with my dad. Is still doesn't open doors for my mum, but they've gone past that stage, but he's still in his ways, as I said, is very intentional about always showing up. So, and it's something my mum has demanded. She knows who she is. She knows what she brings to the table. And I think you demand it based on how you treat yourself. And of course, if the person's not for you and they know that they can't give what you want, then they move. But you're always in control of yourself. And it's not, again, begging, but it's how you carry yourself. Your energy and your aura demands certain things that it will not be able to settle for anything less.
Mm-hmm.
So if the person meets most and everything that you want, but they refuse to open the doors, is that a deal breaker for you in this situation?
No, it's not. Okay. I think, again, as I was saying before.
No, I got you. I was just curious, but I got you.
Yeah. These things are thought. So obviously, when I've expressed, I understand that there's certain things that you might not know, but how you treat me, of course, is very important. But I expressed that I like that, and if it's something that you've noticed that I do like, and you go ahead and lead the way, that is good, because we're not always going to be able to tick each other's boxes. Mm-hmm. I mean, realistic in that sense. However, I've opened my mouth and I've said this is what I like, and I'll say it once, and I'll let you lead the way.
You said tick boxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, tick boxes, but I couldn't.
My accent. Look at you.
I'm glad that we actually touched on this, because that's what I kind of wanted to segue into the next topic. So standards. For us that are whoever's dating, I don't know who's dating or who's in a relationship or whatever the situation is. But when it comes to standards, I know there's always a lot of talk about, are you being too picky when it comes to standards? Are you asking for too much when it comes to standards? I really just had this conversation and about standards being too much. But what do you guys think? What is your take on? Because sometimes somebody will tell you, oh, your standards are too high, or you're asking for a guy that needs to be 6 foot or 6'2" or this and that, and somebody will sit there and be like, well, you can't get everything that you're asking for, so you need to lower your standards. What are y'all takes on that? What do you think? I really want to hear, because I really have a deep take on this.
I think if you bring height, if you're talking about 6'2", that's not a standard. That's a preference. Anything that a person does not have control over, it's a preference. I don't control someone's skin color. I don't control their hair type. I don't control their height. For the most part, I don't control their weight. I don't control their age. nor their race, that's a preference. I feel like a standard is something that you can adjust in the sense that you have an input into how that comes out, right? Like, I want someone with emotional intelligence. That you gotta work for. Now you can decide whether or not you want to have emotional intelligence. To me, I feel like those are standards. I feel like we're confusing sometimes we confuse preferences for standards. My preference can change at any time. Most times your standards do not change. If you want someone who is ambitious, now at 15 and at 25 or at 55, that's not going to change. But your height preference will change. Heck, you might want to step out and date an Asian man after being. So I feel like standards and preference are two different things, and most often we get those two confused, and that's where we have problems. Myself included. I've had that problems, but I had to learn my lesson.
So what is your definition of I like how you're able to differentiate the two. What's your definition of what the standards are?
To me, a standard would be the things that will go in to nourish a relationship, right? And to me, that's what it's done. Your height has nothing to do with whether we flourish as a couple or not. So to me, it's anything that is critical to the growth and prosperity of our relationship. That's a standard to me.
Excuse me. Would you date somebody that's like right here?
What do you mean right here?
I mean, like when you stand
I
right
could.
here,
It's not my preference, but I could.
and that would not like.
It's not beyond me, no.
Oh, okay. Just asking because I mean, some of your sisters out there would count sand rather than do that. So I was just.
And that's fine, right? That's everyone's prerogative, because I feel that's the other side of it, where we're like, if somebody's like, oh, I God forbid, I don't care if he checks everything, he cannot be 5'5". That's your prerogative, right? The more standards and more preferences you have, the narrower your list gets. That's a problem that you have to fight, not me. So everybody is entitled to want what they want. But for me over here, certain things matter more than other things.
Anybody else want
Whitney, go ahead, ma'am, please.
What was the question again? Sorry, because I feel like.
No, we were just talking about standards, and how a lot of people in today's society will talking about say, oh, certain things like women need to lower their standards when it comes to dealing with whoever they're dating or whoever anybody's dating. Our standards. I've had somebody ask if standards are actually necessary or needed. So things like that. What are your take on just the standards? Do you feel like and honestly, just like thinking about, like, I want everybody to think about your standards that you have in place. Do you feel like, what are your standards, and do you feel like as if your standards are too much? Did you feel like you needed to kind of bring them down a little bit, or did you have to adjust? What's your take?
It's such a personal question, because I have so many conversations that people comment a lot about my standards. Not that's why I'm just like, oh my God, we have to talk about this. There was a question. Is it like, are your standards, or what's the other word? Are you picky?
Yeah,
are your standards? So I had to think about what I'm thinking about it, because I used to be like, my friends say I'm picky. That's the word that is out there, that I'm picky, and that I have high standards that sometimes you cannot meet. And I said, I can be both, honestly, when I think about it. But I'm looking at it, but I'm like, why not? I know myself enough to know what I want. And people are saying picky, but I'm like, what is picky? There are a lot of things that I will accept. I'm more regular than a lot of people perceive me. I'm much more simpler than a lot of people perceive me. So I'm always like, are they perceiving? I feel like I'm very misunderstood with a lot of things. So I'm like, are people just misunderstanding me, or is this an actuality, because I had to sit and think about it myself. Like, are you really being picky? Or, I mean, you have to think about it just to be honest with myself. Like, are you picky, or is it? And to a certain level, maybe I am a little bit, but also I'm like, I feel like sometimes I'm not, just because I know myself. I know what will make me happy, because people are saying that do this. But I'm like, if I had the partner, the things that you're talking about don't make me happy. Does that make sense? Like the things that you're talking about that I should be accepting, or that make you happy, or that you're okay with, do not make me happy. It doesn't bring me any joy. It's okay that it brings you joy, or whatever standard you have. But one thing I want to bring about that people don't think about a lot is, and it's been affecting my, like, in my, I'm currently not dating, but it is affecting my, like, my dating life, is discernment. That is something that a lot of people don't think about. I am at the stage where a lot of times I can be talking to somebody and I don't know how to say it, but it's like my body rejects the person. I swear. And like, I don't know how to explain. It is a feeling that the first time it happened, I'm like, God, what is this? I'm a Christian, so I'm going to talk about it. But the discernment of just like, and other people from outside will look at it and be like, oh, that person is perfect. They are this, they are that. But there is something that is off that sometimes I cannot explain what it is. But for some reason, I physically, literally cannot be in the person's presence at a certain point, or just in the discernment. I cannot explain it. I become anxious. I become nervous. I feel like I'm losing my mind. My nervous system is out of the. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm like, God, I have to take myself out of out of the situation. And in that point, it counteracts feelings. I don't care how much I have, and I can still have feelings for the person, but this is stronger than whatever I'm feeling, you know. So I look at that, and then sometimes I ask myself, the other people who are asking you that, or saying that you're picky, is it because they settled? So they expect you to also settle, because I accepted this, I accepted that. But it's two things to be like, also like, to be honestly, I think it's something that you have to sit also and think about yourself. I also think that the pickiness also comes with fear. Maybe you're just scared of certain things, and so maybe everything can become a little bit more magnified because of past experiences. But yeah, that's just the way I feel about it. I just feel like I don't feel like the standard is high. For me, I don't feel like I have that like a very, very high standard. Yeah, to a certain level. Because when I think of what I want in a partner, I'm just like, but what I want requires a lot of work. I feel like
So, question.
And it
it requires
should.
a lot of work.
Okay, before you ask your question, I wanted to say something that Whitney said, that her nervous system goes off. That's actually your nervous system working like it should. I just started reading that recently. And that feeling you cannot explain, that's your body telling you to run away. That's
Yeah.
actually how when you start regulating your nervous system towards something, that's how it works. And you start thinking you're acting up, but that's it giving you warning that your brain has not even registered yet. Just wanted to let you know.
Thank you so much for it, because for a long time, for the first time it happened, I had spoken about it with one of my friends, and everybody thought I was crazy. Literally, like, oh, Whitney, like for, and I was like, and then some girl posted it on TikTok, similar experience, and she sent it. She was like, oh my God, now I understand what you're saying, because she has seen it now. Somebody's exactly explained exactly the same thing. She was like, oh my God, and I was like, oh, I feel so seen. So for you to really confirm that,
read this book, The Garden Is You, and you get it by Dr. Anita Phillips. Sorry, I didn't mean to divert.
Yeah.
Sorry, okay, go ahead.
No, wahala. I was just gonna ask Winnie that, for everything that, people say about, being picky, and, you mentioned discernment. Like when you sit and you reflect on all these things, do you find any commonalities, any similarities, or they just
I feel, sometimes I do to a certain level. That's why I'm like, I have been, I try to be very honest with myself and take accountability, right? So I have to put that into perspective. To a certain level, there may be some, I'm not gonna lie, this, I feel like there's some truth to it. There's some truth to it. There's some truth to it. But like I said, I don't, I also have known myself enough. I don't want to just get into a situation just to get into. I'm not in the business of pleasing anybody. I'm the one that's going to be staying in that house. I'm the one that's going to be with you forever. I know the way I feel. Also, if I'm not able to give the way I know I can give, I'm not going to get into a relationship. I'm not going to just get. And a lot of people thought, like, just by talking, whether it's family, it's friends, they keep just, oh, don't worry, it will get better. Like, it's not going to. There's certain situations that it will, but I'm hoping that my discernment is something I'm leaning on now a lot, because it hasn't served me wrong 95% of the time. So, but yes, there is some truth to it, and I feel like there is some fear also that goes into my pickiness. So, but yeah, honestly, yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna add. I do think that we're picky, but within reason. I do think that it's also mixed with just having high standards for ourselves. And the people that were calling us out too picky is our grandmothers and our aunties, because I think we're very spoiled with choice right now, that we don't have to depend on a man financially anymore. And we're able to take care of ourselves in many different ways, and of course, as women, we do have to be honest with ourselves that we do want love, but it's not necessary, because we understand that the pool is not necessarily easy to pick from. But depending on who's asking, yeah, I guess we'll be picky to the older generation, because we're not either married at a certain age, and we have more, I guess, standards for ourselves. We don't want. There's a lot of aunties and uncles that have probably endured cheating, and it's for better and for worse. I don't want to go there, but it's I think there's certain things that we will not accept that maybe our grandmothers and our aunties accepted, and it's good or bad, but ultimately, we're also breaking generational curses, because at the end of the day, what you're also teaching your own child is that you should persevere through pain and disrespect, because you're supposed to. Again, for better for worse. I'm speaking in like a marital type of situation here, but again, it's good to have high standards for ourselves, just because getting married to somebody, or again being intertwined to something just because you want to be in a relationship is not it. And that marriage is a very, very serious thing. It could alter your destiny very, very differently. It also leads to death if it's with the wrong person. So I think for me personally, I do think that I'm picky, but also because I have high standards for myself. So it's a bit of both.
Okay. Yeah.
Before you conclude, before you jump to the next one there, real quick, I feel as though, most people are picky to a certain point in time. To a certain point in life, they get to a certain point and realize that, damn, I've wasted so much energy and time being picky. Man, let me drop that pickiness now and then, move on. But I guess it's time that tells, right, how much picky you really are. I find that a lot of folks say, oh, we got high standards. And then, yeah, life just happens. And then your standards, the higher they were, all of a sudden they're not high anymore. It's like, yo, where did that high standard go? Right? So anyways, go ahead, Tutu.
But don't you think that's considered somewhat settling? Because if you get to that point and you just like, well, fuck it,
Listen, though.
I'm gonna just go ahead and just kind of be with this person because I'm quote unquote picky, you're settling. So you're really not happy. You just get into a place where you're kind of, in a sense, pleasing everybody else around you, but not pleasing yourself. Because if you're not settling, if you get to that point, I don't feel like a city should get to a point where you're just like, well, I tried and it's not. If you have standards for yourself and you have high standards and you know what you want, you're gonna go for what you want, and you're gonna keep going and keep trying until you get what you want, and eventually it'll happen. That's just how I see it. I just feel
or not
exactly, if not. And I mean, if you don't get it, then maybe it wasn't in the cards. But I don't think that. I feel like, in a sense, that's just settling. Like, you shouldn't, like, you're like, the sky is not the limit. You get what I'm saying? When the people say the sky's the limit, like, go for what you want. And like I said, if you don't get it, then you don't get it. But if you get it, at least you'll be content and satisfied at the end and be like, damn, this is what I wanted. I got what I wanted. I'm happy.
Yeah.
And not looking back, no regrets, no none of that.
That is it's not a type of, you're right, it is settling. And I used to be mad when someone told me that I was picky. I used to feel offended by that.
Yeah.
Not anymore. The mere fact that you prefer one thing over another makes you picky, even if it's one thing. Otherwise, you would just accept just about anybody. So yes, picky is good. It's not a bad thing. And if that happens, like you said, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, hey, you still had your standards. But we're always just wondering what's on the other side. Maybe the grass is greener on the other side.
Green on that side, brown on this side, red on that side. You will settle for whatever color that you're standing in.
You know, and it builds resentment. At the end of the day, you end up resenting yourself or the person because you settled. Or you pick the person because, well, the person has always been there and entertained me or whatever, so let me just go. And it's like this and again, as I said, marriage or even just relationships can alter your life completely. You could have gone much further by yourself in terms of what God wanted for you, rather than being with somebody because you felt like you had to, or you had to settle, or you decided to succumb to people's expectations, or you were bored and entertained someone that was chasing you the whole time.
Or you could have gone with somebody that, you know, God ordained for you, but because they have fat eyes, you decided that you're not going to go with them.
Well, that's why praying is great.
You missed your prayers. You missed your victory, your love, just because their eyes look like bonbon alcoholisé. You missed it.
Oh,
that would probably be me.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, that's true. But
it has to come in a package that I can recognize.
I know, that's what I always was like, God, please. I beg, let me be able to recognize, because I feel like God doesn't give you the package that you want, that you really want.
He humbles you real quick, y'all.
He does. He does.
You ask for all this A,
like,
B, and D, and he'll give you C, D, E. And
yes,
well, you're missing A and B.
have you ever heard about your plans and God's plans for you?
Yeah.
That's why I gotta be like Jeff Bezos. You know, you make enough money, the one that was not ordained, you leave it, you give her the money to go, and then you take the money and go and find the one that you really want. But anyway, sorry.
That's the way of doing it. The truth is, what I have noticed, and this is not even to shame any, I think it's the way society was designed. Most people settle. That's just the truth. Most people settle, and I didn't want to shame anybody for it. Most people settle because society is designed for us. Most people are followers. Very few people are leaders. Very few people do things, think on their own, like, and think and really just do things because, oh, this is what I want. This is what I'm really, really looking for. Most people will conform to some setting of, like, some societal standard, family, culture. Most people will fall or just conform to it at some point, and that is the pressure that happens. Like, and if you are one of the people who doesn't conform, because I think there's a thin line between, are you very picky, or are you don't conform to what everybody's saying, or which is you're being thinking for yourself and really looking for what there is a thin line. And then I feel like sometimes you can be also unreasonable with certain things that, you know, or unrealistic. So I think that there is a thin line between both. But yeah, but that is something to recognize. Most people will not accept it, but most people settle. I think you just have to be honest with yourself and just say, if people just accept and just be like, okay, yeah, I probably settled and it is what it is.
Mhm.
And so, but that's your choice. You accept that is the choice that you have chosen, and don't resent other people now for the choice that you made.
And also to add to that, a lot of people like the idea of being married or in a relationship. But ask yourself this: that excitement that you have you pushed that excitement to the side and see if you really have it in you to sustain that? Because it's good and all on paper, but in reality, do you have what it takes to even withstand it? Do you have what it takes to sit on that table and say, yo, I can't, like we started bringing something to the table. Do you have what it takes to even sit there in the first place? Right. So maybe you got to go find that before you open your mouth up. You're saying, oh, I want to be married. But.
Okay. So going back to what Miss Lee said, you have brought up the topic about like family and kind of just like in a sense dictating how like maybe our love stories go. And honestly, before I go this, I need to share this real quick, okay? Because y'all, I've been like, I had somebody tell me that like somebody sent me a podcast link, y'all. A guy sent me a podcast link and was like, successful women try to make a woman out of a man. And it was like a whole, and y'all, I really sat here and I was just like, hold on, like, am I really getting this right now? And I'm there's a point that I'm going with this, because in a way, I knew what I wanted, and because I was vocal about what I wanted, all of a sudden I'm an alpha female, or all of a sudden I'm trying to be controlling. So because of that, I guess maybe he wasn't used to dealing with somebody that's vocal and will actually tell you like, hey, no, like I'm not going to stand for this. So he actually sent me 2 podcast links. This is like, women always try to take submissiveness as controlling and things like that. And successful women, like he just brought up the topic about that. So I say this all in to say the next point, when it comes to like successful women or successful people, right? And when it comes to family, we obviously, there's successful women, and some women feel like as if you can't really tell them anything. And because of that, all of a sudden they're picky. They're very career driven, goal oriented, and they put their career first before dating or anything like that. And then sometimes that also comes out to family as if you're not trying to make room for anybody else except your career. So in that sense, it's kind of like the families, like, are we allowing our families to dictate or narrate our timelines on when we should settle down? Or because when it comes to like, imagine, okay, say for instance, take this for instance, you take me, I'm a single woman, right? And I'm just focusing on my career and what I got going on. Then you got Therese, probably. Therese just got married and we just had a whole big shindig for her and everything like that. They're going to look at me different. The family's going to look at me different because, oh, you see your cousin Therese. Therese just got married and she's doing this. Meanwhile, you're sitting here focusing on your job and whatnot. Do you feel like as if families still in this society narrate and dictate our timelines on when women should settle down and get married?
Oh yeah, that's a forever thing. That's a cultural thing. That's always going to be some. I think it's the pride and joy for Africans is that, for them they still feel like even if you don't have a job, as long as your husband is providing for you and you're giving him children, you've made it in life. And I think they want that also for you, just because it's also a thing of wanting to further the lineage. And knowing that that seed carries on and they have a level of what's the word, legacy that they're passing on through you, and that's for them, that's the biggest achievement in life. They want you to do well at a certain point in your life with school and whatnot, but when you get to a certain age, when you've got hip bearing you've got children bearing hips, and you're now reaching towards 25, 30, when will you marry is always going to be the question, especially because that's what they expect from you. And that to them is career is not that important at all. So I think, we have the pressure that, when we get into our 20s, we should be married by 20, 25. By 30, there's either something wrong with you or, we're being too picky or whatnot. And going back to your point, you dodged a bullet with that guy, because I hope I hope you didn't speak to him again. But I think with men is, of course, it has to be a character thing also, because they are this exception of women that are very accomplished in their careers, and they have a level of access that maybe if the man is not earning as much as them, they've seen the world differently. You're able to have access to things that normally a man you would expect to be able to give that to you, or the roles are reversed. So when you're very self-sufficient, oftentimes that can kind of hinder your approach of how you speak to people. And again, it's a character thing, but also a lot of the time these men are not ready emotionally to really do like self-inventory and say, okay, cool, like I generally am very subconscious about a woman that is more accomplished than me, and actually my insecurity is playing out because I feel like, oh, she earns more than me, so officially she's going to she's going to override me in certain decisions, or she's going to be she's already, the fact that she earns more than me has already made me feel very insecure. So everything is going to be a threat, if that makes sense. And that type of man, you don't necessarily want around you. And it has nothing to do with you per se. And I think that's what the issue is with that type of man will also unfortunately make you feel like you need to settle, because sometimes you may also think, oh, hang on a minute, is there something wrong with me? Because he's again, you have to think of it as a character thing, but of course it's a lot of time is insecurities, and there's a whole pool of women who are very successful and are very they're sweethearts, but the men that they attract are very intimidated by them, and so even when you do want to make it work, it might not necessarily, you guys aren't equally yoked, because a man, even if he's not doing as good as you, he wants to support you and he respects you. He's not worried about what he earns, because he knows that he has his goal, and he respects you for who you are. And but again, going back to, yes, culturally it is something that is always going to be a thing, like, and then we have a lot of pressure on ourselves because of biological clock. And that's also something that a lot of parents and aunties will remind you that, by 35, by 30, you have to have your first child or whatnot. But yeah, I think culturally it's always going to be a thing. And culturally also, I think if a man is African and you are very successful, you're going to get that link sent to you a lot of the times, because culturally they culturally they think that that it's you should never make me feel lower than myself. How dare you be that successful, right? So it is what it is. Like, again, culture plays in both parts in those stories. But
I feel like when I think about this particular point, there is so much that I think about. We have to think, and the way I've been thinking about it, that is giving me room to, whether it's grow or to give grace, a balance of both, is the way we were raised, right? So all of us are Africans, but in our African context, and let's not even say just African context, because even like Black American men or foreign men, they're still like leaders in their home and whatever. One thing is that they were raised, most men were raised to be traditional and want your wives to these things. So if you are raised your whole life, and some people saw it in their homes, it is a difficult situation to just switch and just change it and be like, oh, now the things are changing. They do have to change. They have to change because times are changing. Times have changed drastically. So they need to have to catch up and adapt to that. I think men have a harder time adapting with changes that affect whatever is their core manhood. I think they have a struggle with that. One thing people also have to realize is, or whether they accept it or not, money gives you access. It gives you the opportunity to make choices. And so there's always the saying that a woman who has more money, she's not going to listen, she becomes rude. But at a certain level, are there women like that? Absolutely. So I'm not going to take it that no, they're not women like that. But it would be nice if they're honest to themselves, so realize that they know exactly what money does. That is why a lot of men, if they're not stable, financially stable, or where they cannot take care of themselves, they don't feel fulfilled, because they know that, okay, this is what society has told me I'm supposed to be, and I'm not able to do it. And then a woman, you were supposed to be the weaker sex, they're supposed to be the helper. How dare you come and you're doing it and you're succeeding and you're going way past me? So that there is that difficulty. And some people will be like, oh, it doesn't bother them, and some people will be like, oh, it bothers them. But I think they just have to be that reality check that men know that money gives you power, it gives you access, it gives you options. Men know it, and they may argue whatever, because now with the money, and that's basically what it allows a woman to be able to, like, okay, I don't want to do this. And also it forces a man to bring something else than money, because you can have all the money in the world. Okay, now you bring money. Okay, I don't need your money, it doesn't really excite me as much or whatever. It is nice, but now it forces you to be emotionally mature. It forces you to have to deal with your feelings, or for you to be present in other ways that you're not used to be. Maybe you've never even faced those ways your whole life. And now for the first time, you have to feel, you have to be respectable, you have to be, and the girl is telling you that if you are not these things, I don't need you. And you're like, oh my God, you almost feel like you're useless. So I feel like just having to balance those things, and people really introspectively sitting and thinking about this thing and looking at things. I also feel like people have to give grace to people. Hopefully, as long as the person is willing to work to where you guys are aligned and willing to improve the ways they think. We are learning and relearning and unlearning. I feel like those things are, a balance. A balance is very important. And yes, our mothers and our families do affect us more than we know. We literally are a product of that.
To me, that
Go ahead.
That to me, I see it in two ways, twofold, right? We're in a time in society where women are the most successful that they've ever been. Women occupy spaces that our great grandmothers never could only dream of, right? And I don't think that us as a society have caught up to women being influential like that. And that includes men and women alike. Because even a woman in a powerful position, you go and she, for example, just posts something about her family. She just DoorDash dinner. Go to her comments. 90 out of 100 comments are other women bashing her, that she's not a great wife. Or because you think you are CEO, you cannot take it. So I don't think society has grown enough to that place where we are looking at women as being that powerful and making more money and being ambitious as something to be okay with. And then there's the other side to me that I think that I do see, is because that us women, this whole milieu is kind of new to us. I feel like sometimes ourselves, the woman in power, has not adjusted to that much money, that much options, and balancing with your femininity, if that makes sense. Men have done that from time immemorial. Now, this is not to say that there are men who have used that to abuse and oppress women in their house and all that stuff. but men have always been the breadwinners for the most part, right? And they've learned to have that and balance fatherhood and masculinity. I feel like it's a new territory for us women. And I can tell you, because there was a time when I had money and I was making decisions, and I had to catch myself, because you don't even realize it. You start talking funny to people. You don't even know it. You start, because I was not used to all that, making decisions, calling the shots, you're the one with the money. It got to my head. You have to learn now to come and balance that. And I feel like sometimes that's why people look at ambitious women and be like, oh, you're an alpha female. Sometimes there's some truth to it, if we are being honest. There is some truth to it. But for the most part, it's just sometimes, so people are so insecure. Like Winnie said, money was the only thing that you could bring. And now that's not even on the table anymore. You have to come with more, because she probably got a bigger bag than you do. So now the demand is higher on both sides. I just feel like it can go both ways, in my opinion, but it has to be a conscious choice for each party to be able to create room that we can hold both our femininity and masculinity, and the success and ambitions that we all have.
I feel as though when two people are ready to take that path, money does not separate, does not even come in. Money does not even come close to what they'll even be debating about. Because in this particular economy, this guy is already hiking China's tariffs to 104%. What man is about to sit here and be arguing with women about how much you make? If in anything, it's like, yo, son, bring that, because shit is about to be real. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm going to say this. I know a lot of people will debate, but fun fact, in my view, a lot of people think that men are scared of women who make money. I disagree. Again, a man who wants to live his life and don't want to settle down, he don't need any woman to come in his ear. He wants to live his life. And once you realize that, you leave that man alone. If you are back there and you are running, that's you stressing yourself. That's you giving yourself blood pressure that you don't need. Because again, like Winnie was saying, discernment, right? You've not sat and really processed that situation to see what you want from here and what the other person wants. Now, somebody who wants to reason with you, settle with you, or find a way to make it work, your money does not matter, because in anything is an addition to him, to what he already got, if in anything. Now, a lot of women want to sit and say, oh, I have respect. I promise you, most don't really have that much respect they think they do, but yet command so much respect. It does not, it don't work that way. It just does not. Sit down and really take inventory of your own world and ask yourself, what I'm asking of this person, am I giving? Am I giving the same thing? I'm not saying go and just, no, I mean, really sit down and do critical thinking for yourself before you point that finger, because 9 or 10 times, you got to remember 3 is pointing right back at you. And you might be missing it. You just don't know. So rather than living with somebody that they are being disrespectful, this and the third, maybe you took also see how you're approaching that person, how you're coming off to that person. What is it that you are saying that is either taking off or not making that situation any favorable? Just maybe.
Manny, I think I want to hear your point on this.
What was the question again? I forgot.
We were talking about should we allow our families to like narrate and dictate our timelines when it comes to us women or whoever getting married, and then also just being successful women, and does that also make way for others or significant others to kind of just have a say in when you should get married or when you shouldn't, or in your relationship?
About allowing our parents, we don't have any control over what they say. We only have control over what we do with what they say. So, like I think Miss Lee mentioned, it's a cultural thing, it's a tradition. It's they're always going to say what they want to say or what they feel is quote unquote good. Like I've had people say, "Oh, it's good for you to have a kid to or have kids to pass to continue your lineage and all of that." And now it's getting to a point because I'm currently reading a book that it's almost like it's my life on a what you call those screens, those white screens, and it's like it's going from time you're running out of time, and but then you're having women having kids in their 40s and 50s, and another thing too is that our parents grew up in a different time from us. Like for me, my parents grew up back home. By the time they got here, they were raising kids, and I grew up back home and here. So I'm juggling two different cultures to try to make sense of it. And our parents are stuck in what they've always known, and it's hard for them to understand from our perspective. So sometimes I struggle between, the whole Christian Bible thing of honor your parents so your days will be long. But then again, what if what they want for you is not what you want for yourself based on what you know, what you've learned? So what I have settled with is that if like my prayer used to be, God, may your will be done. Because sometimes I feel like what I want may not be what I need. And everybody could want what they want from me, and it may sound like they are doing that for my good. Yeah, but that's from their perspective, that's from their point of view. So I've come to a point where I'll hear people out, parents, aunties, uncles, and say, okay, I hear you. But how can you help my situation? Do you have somebody you would like me to marry for you? Usually that ends the conversation because they're criticizing something they are not trying to help. So until they can help that situation that way, whatever they really say it's not moving the situation past what it is. Now on the side of being successful, I was actually having this conversation with a guy, I think it's yesterday, 2 days ago. Well, my timeline is coming off because I'm on a different time zone. I'm trying to reintegrate into this time zone. So the question was, I think, what's her name? See, I think you mentioned that women making more money now than they've ever before, and it's taken away from our femininity. And this guy was really like, don't you think that women making more money now is making them more masculine? And I had to sit with that for a little bit because pre-pandemic, because I'm used to taking like quizzes to figure out how I do what I do or why I do what I do. Pre-pandemic, this test revealed that I was, based on how I answered the question, it revealed that I was masculine. But I think that the masculine traits I had is part of how I was raised as a first child. You gotta do for yourself, you gotta figure it out on your own, you gotta be independent. So that's how I moved pre-pandemic. Then pandemic happened, and then it kind of slowed me down, and I had all this time to think. And then for some reason, I was like, well, I did not get into this. I don't know, personality is masculinity, femininity, personality, I don't think so. But I didn't get into this way of life because I wanted to. I got into it because I had to. Now, if there was somebody there to get me out of that, then I can. Because truth is, I don't want to work this hard forever. I don't want to be this quote unquote master. But that doesn't mean that I'm just gonna sit and wait for manna to drop from heaven, right? So it would be good to going back off of the point of standards and preference and all of that. I'm a collector of quotes. There's a quote that says, "If you don't stand for something, you will fall for everything." So I don't know to answer the question, but yeah, it's too much money can allows you to call the shot, allows you to make the choices. But then if you have somebody who meets you at a certain point without shaming you for what you've accomplished or how far you've come or how far you want to go, then that could help you not be so masculine or not be so alpha, as opposed to shaming you for your what's the word, your achievements. And if that answers the question.
So wait, how come when a woman makes more and she sustains is masculine, but then when a man, drops, I guess it's masculine, and then decides to be house help or wife, whichever they want to call it these days, they don't label him the same way, or they don't argue the same way as they'll argue towards a woman being masculine. Why is that double standard like more heavy towards a woman versus a man?
But are we actually really dropping the label of him not being masculine because he decided to stay home and maybe
to be honest, there's like so many situations where I've seen like where some women, right, make a lot, and then it's like rocky inside. It's like, yeah, man, why are you even breathing in here? What grounds have you to even say something? Right? Type thing. But like Mother said, our parents were raised in a very different era. In this era, I would like to challenge, most of my sisters. Take on a man's role, pay everything, and then go outside and come back and sit, kick his feet up, help clean, no problem, 1 or 2, but you have to pay everything, and then come back and tell me how you feel about it. Come back and tell me how you feel about it. Like, do it for 6 months straight, and then come back and tell me how you feel about it.
We do that.
I'm not saying that you doing it right now. Like you living in your house by yourself doing it right now. I'm not negating that. I'm saying live with the man. Let the man still be working for his little, I don't know, he could probably working at McDonald's or something. Who cares? But you body everything. And then let his money be his to probably go spend with his friends and buy his shoes and things like that. Then tell me how you feel.
I'll say this, AK. It's not the money that makes women masculine. It's the coping of the environment where you're making the money. That's what makes you masculine. Because let's be honest, I cannot take my femininity into the workspace. I would not survive. They will eat me alive. Mm-hmm. They will. I cannot do that. I have to put on a different skin to be able to go out there and make money. So that's what turns me masculine. It's not that I'm making the money. It's that environment that I put myself in. And God forbid you're ambitious and you're trying to climb that ladder. There's no space for femininity in there. There's none. So yes, sometimes we have to act a certain way to be able to get us through that. And so that constant code switching, let me put it in a way that we all can understand. Constant code switching is exhausting because you go out there and you do all that and then you have to come home and be feminine. That shit is hard.
Okay.
Otherwise, you as a man, you don't have to go out there and add femininity. You are yourself at work and at home. That's the difference.
You think men don't code switch?
You could, but I'm just saying, we're talking about masculinity and femininity, the things that we embody. That's what I'm sticking with. We all code switch on some level, but I'm talking about sometimes how we get to where that masculine energy. If you are the firstborn, you have to take care of people. You have to be responsible for everyone. You cannot do all that shit in your feminine energy. It cannot work.
It's the same way as, and this is not to every man, but for most men, it's the same way as they'll argue that I have to, also go out there, be that man, come inside and still stand on that, the leader, everything. I don't have room for weaknesses. As much as most women will say, okay, you need to show weaknesses. Like, I don't have room for that because I don't have to break, right? Secondly, sometimes most women don't open that room for the man to be vulnerable and able to let some of those things like the weaknesses out, right? So he's in turn have to bottle that inside and still go out and still perform the same way as he's expected to, right? So to me, at some point, like everybody code switches. There should be no excuse whatsoever on both sides. there should be no excuse. You go out, you go handle your business, you come back, and you handle your business in here the way you're supposed to too. Everybody should code switch.
It was not an excuse. I was giving you an explanation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not saying
and that's and to say that, and to your point, yes, we all got to do that. If you don't have that space at home, that lets you revert back to normal. Sound like you have problems at home. That's a you problem right there. You and your partner need to be able to figure it out, because that's what a home is supposed to be. Where I've gone out there, I've acted like David, I've slayed Goliath and come. But when I come home, I want to be soft. If something pissed me off, let me cry, because I couldn't cry at work. If I come home, let me put my feet up. That's what a home is supposed to be, a place where everybody can come back and revert back to their default setting. But if you don't have that at home, I'm sorry. Like Tutu said, you probably settle with your standards.
I was just about to say that too. It also kind of falls on if you have that if you have somebody that makes you not, like T was just saying, I'm being masculine because I have to, because my guard is up. You're not giving me a reason to be soft. You're not giving me a reason to be feminine. So if that's the case, I don't have no other choice but to show my masculinity. Even though, do I want to? I don't want to. I want to be soft. I want to be a girly girl. I want to be living soft girl princess life. I want to be doing so. I want to be, but if I have to go ahead and put up that masculinity and that hard body, then by all means I will. Because I'm also not getting that. I'm not getting that from my person, or even from the setting that I'm in, to just be feminine.
What's holding you there for you to break your femininity and jump into masculinity? God gave you feminine. Stay in it. If you can, if somebody wants you to jump out of that, first of all, jump out of that person's life first before you jump out of your femininity. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, let me respond to this. You're speaking as if life is black and white. Life is a bunch of gray areas. You cannot just jump and jump and jump. People are built, human beings, whether it's a man or a woman, we are all built by habits. I always say, why do we act the way? There is a reason why somebody is more masculine and somebody is more feminine. In most cases, if a woman is more masculine, not to blame a man, but a lot of times because a man did not do what he was supposed to do.
Jesus.
Hold on. And this is not me blaming. The one thing I pray, I'm hoping that men understand, you want to be leaders and all of that. It comes with a lot of responsibility. It comes with a lot of responsibility, humility, and a lot of intelligence. You have to know how to navigate a lot of things. And I'm sorry, a lot of men lack the leadership that they need. And they're not humble enough to go and learn what they're supposed to do because of the ego. So if you're not handling your responsibility as a man, right? And this, I'm not trying to blame no man. It's a lot, there are a lot of moving parts, right? Most of the time, if a woman is feminine, some women also, one thing that people don't talk also about, some women are just born like that. They just like to handle shit. They know how to take care of things. They are just good at it. I think that is something that is people really, really lack, that we don't talk about enough. That if some women don't have that soft side per se, like that, they don't have it. It's not just in their biology per se, like to be soft. But a lot of times, if a woman is because a man did not take care of, whether it's a single mom with a man that is there who is not taking care of the child like he's supposed to be, or a man who is lacking in the home. There are a lot of people who are married and in a relationship or in marriage, but there's no emotional presence. You being a leader means you have to show up emotionally as well. That's one thing that you don't know. You have to show up emotionally, because how are you leading people when you're not showing anything emotions? And with that, and I always say that men created this world and then they are having side effects and now they're crying about it. You see this thing that men are not able to show emotion. It is a very, very sad thing. And I empathize with them because I don't know how you guys do it. I probably will be dead if I'm not able to. But
that's why
it is men who created that. Literally.
Hold on.
Hold on. Don't run.
What do we create?
Hold on.
No. What do we create?
It goes with the misogyny. What are the English had there? The mistake or the vision. That's what I'm trying to say. But it goes with the way a man was created. A man, like other men handled it. It's men that created most of society. You guys are the ones most of the time back in the day that built everything. If a man even cries, a man usually will laugh. He's weak. I don't want to use the other words that mean he's a simp. It's a man most of the time will call you weak before a woman does. Yes, there are women that will look at you as weak, but who trained those women to look at men as weak? It's the men. It's the men that say boys don't cry. It's the men that brought up all those things, and now it is affecting them because of that is the way. And I understand that those things were put also in place because back in the day when we go right back like the 1920s or so, men were like going to war and they were doing those things, and women, so they did not really have the room to show those emotions and be vulnerable and all of that. And I understand that and I empathize with that. But now that we have progressed where things are getting better, and I know that things cannot just snap and you just become emotional, but it is important that you sit and you start taking those actions. And people are doing, a lot of men are beginning to do the work, whether it's with therapy, whether it's just with seeking understanding with your partner, with your family, with your friends, or just sitting with yourself. A lot of people are so scared to sit with themselves because it is very hurtful to sit with yourself and really sit down and think about who you are and what hurts you and process it, right? But you have to think that is everything that people do comes from somewhere. So when you're saying a masculine woman, it's because somebody is not handling what they're supposed to be handling. She's usually overcompensating for something that is a lack of, that usually a man did not give. Not in all cases, but that is the truth. It was a lack of leadership, lack of father. Your husband is not doing what they're supposed to do. Somebody is not compensating with the way they're supposed to. So she doesn't know. That's the only way she does. Because if she doesn't do that, then who's going to handle what is supposed to handle? When she cannot trust and lean on you.
Okay, now.
Mic drop.
But that's it. That's true.
Come on, blame men. Come on, blame men for everything.
It's not even the men. It's not the men.
Come on, blame men for what? For example, your mom, your grandmom, or your parents together should have done. You come and blame the guy who you are trying to.
Yeah, it was the great grandfather. That's
you know? Come on, you go. Why you blaming the guy when you could have looked at your parents? In most cases, it's even the mother who raised some of them. Why not blame the mother for saying?
Why was the mother raising? Where was the father?
Thank you.
Could have been dead.
That's okay, but guess what? But
everybody's father died. But I don't mind it now.
That goes back to what I was just about to say when she was saying that it doesn't even have to be a man. It could literally be some women are masculine because of the trauma that they've been through. They literally had to fight.
And some men too are very soft in terms of nurturing because they got that from their parents and they were able to instill that into their kids. Again, this thing, it's a two people come together and they work at making this thing great. It's not one person, it's not the one person. Let's both work at making this thing great. Now, wherever that man is lacking emotionally, the woman should show up. Wherever the woman is lacking there, the man should show up. It shouldn't be that, don't be blaming men for these things. You too, women, could have driven this, especially with emotions, being that you guys are the nurturing ones. You guys are the ones who know that like it's given to you firsthand. You should drive this thing. But because some of our mothers did not drive it, that's why some of us, us including you women, are like this. Now, how can we take this and make something of it? It's really the question.
Okay.
When you want to lead, there's a problem. Well, then you're too masculine. Well, first of all, the Bible says that the man should love the woman as she loves the church. The church is an institution, and in order for the church to go ahead, this is the structure. That's a very big role, first of all, to fill and to submit. I was watching something the other day, and someone said the word submission. The word mission is in there. There must be a goal or a place or a mission in which you're supposed to take the women in order for her to be able to submit. Submission is easy for women to do. Even if she's in her masculine energy, like like Teres says, you have to be, especially at work. Everybody is that. Everybody is like that. Unfortunately, you have to be the boss, and you maybe naturally you have to lean towards the masculine energy. But at the same time, even then, that type of woman would not, for the right man, she will submit. Everybody's got an Achilles, like you've got your weakness. There's always going to be somebody or someone that's come in your life that's made you very soft, as hard as you are as a person. So at the end of the day, a man, if he does what he's supposed to do and he leads, and of course, not all men are like supposed to be like are going to lead you in like financially, or that they're supposed to be like a CEO of a company. But they should lead you, whether that's leading you towards like a quiet leadership, lead you towards going to church a lot more, leading you towards your best self. There should be a mission or somewhere in which he's leading you towards, rather than just being there occupying space. But you're talking about how a woman should play a role. Of course, you're going to naturally be able to nurture your home and nurture your husband, but essentially the man is responsible for leading and leading you towards a mission. And
So let me ask you this.
It's going nowhere, then.
Let me ask you this, right? While he's leading, what are you doing?
You're nurturing and leading too. Everybody is supposed to, you're leading yourself, first of all, number one.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking biblical points, right? And we're talking also in terms of being able to be soft and whatnot. There's no issue with us being feminine. It's for the right person who knows how to not only just lead themselves, and that's also a big thing, because once you lead yourself and he leads himself well, it's going to be a lot easier for you to be able to lead her, because you have a direction in life, and so you both also are going to be in the right space, because you are able to lead yourself. If you come in a space where you don't really know what you're doing, you're not going to lead me anywhere.
You who is sitting there looking at a person leading, you're not seeing where they are leading to. And wait, are you following blindly, or are you using your brain to follow? And if okay, let me ask this question then.
You can't get to that point. If that person is not even able to lead you anywhere, you're not even going to be able to have the opportunity to lead me.
Okay.
We're not equally yoked in that sense.
So with that said then, for you ladies on this platform here, I guess I'll end like this. What is stopping you right now from having that championship relationship, marriage, whatever? What is stopping you right now? Why haven't you found that guy, the perfect guy or semi-perfect, the leader? Why haven't you found that person now? Or when you're looking for that person currently right now, what is it that you're looking for? Your non-negotiables. What are they?
I'm looking for a man who has a vision that I align with. Because you can have a vision and I do align with your vision. A vision that I align with. Somebody who is kind, considerate. Somebody who knows how to manage money well is very important to me. And just somebody who can really be my friend, honestly, that I can feel emotionally safe with. I struggle with that. So, yeah. I feel like those are my standards. And you have to believe in God. Oh, how did I? To believe in God and have a relationship with Christ of some sort.
Do you think that you would help him? And I'm just speaking about Christianity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, for example, he meets all the other criteria, but do you feel like Christianity is something that you could lead him through?
Absolutely. I feel like that is something I know, and I've gone back and forth with this because I've also I've been growing my faith, but yes, I feel like it's something. Yes, I feel like something that I can lead with. I also learned that I'm not gonna force it on you per se, but I'm hoping that I show up as a Christian and you want to follow that path, and I'm an example for you. But yes, I think yes.
Mm-hmm. So in a sense that, let's say, for example, you are at 90% in your Christian walk of faith, right? And they are 50%, right? And you see potential that that number will keep increasing. that's not a turn off for you. That's an opportunity for you to step in and kind of push them, not force, but at least nudge, right? That's a yes, or you'd say,
Oh, that's a yes. No, that's a solid yes for me. I'm
okay,
not gonna
cool.
lie about that.
Honest, because there are some of your sisters that will say it's not my place to lead there, so I'm not going to do it, which is foolish to me. But anyways, thank you for your opinion. Mane, please, what's your own?
I have gone back and forth with putting I mean, I've been asked that question many times, and usually what I say is when I would recognize it when I see it. Because in the past I have listed all these things and I came across a guy who just acted all these things, and then when each hit the fan, that's not really what they were. So I would like someone who demonstrates the fruits of the spirit, which many to list. And if they can at least identify one of them, that to me is a sign that this is somebody I could work with. Also, somebody who is open minded and not stuck on whatever they believe culturally. Like I was talking to this guy, and he said, if you meet a guy and he makes X amount of money and he wants to be a stay at home, would you do that? And my answer was, I don't really want to be a stay at home, but I don't want to work full time for the rest of my life. And then he said, no, it's the guy's way or the highway. And I was like, nah, that's not gonna work for me. So I don't want to feel like I'm being controlled. I like someone who is open minded. We don't have to agree on everything, but there are certain things that because going back to the point of settling, I feel like to a certain extent there are certain things that for lack of, well, not to say we would settle for, but there are certain things that we would compromise on. Because we may not necessarily find someone who ticks all the 10 boxes of what we are looking for in. So somebody that we can agree to disagree or compromise on certain things without feeling like there is some kind of resentment in it. But yeah, at the very base, it's exhibiting some of the fruits of the spirit to me is a good start.
See, wait to be your own. Thank you, Mane. Thank you.
God, because I don't want to explain why I'm up at 2 a.m. on my knees praying. I don't want to have to explain that to anybody. Yeah, don't call the cops, but yeah. I think Mane said something to me that encompasses it all. The fruit.
I'm sorry, all the time out. Has that ever happened to you?
What? No, I'm just saying, right? Because people say they are Christian until it's time to be a Christian.
True.
Then you realize that you just about that name. I'm about that praying and lifting my hands up type Christian. Okay? It's not just like, oh, I go to church on Sunday type thing. So yeah, I'll be waking up at night when I have problems and be praying and crying. So I don't have to want to explain what I was doing at night. If you turn around and I'm doing all that, just close the door and let me be. That's what I mean. I want a kind person. I've noticed that a lot of people are not kind. Kindness to me is top there. Honesty and transparency is very important to me. I need to know, and that's part of I'll say one of my insecurities, but I need to be aware of what's going on. If I am in doubt, we have a problem somewhere. I need to be aware. I should not be sitting and doubting. Where did he go or what? Not that I'm picky, but I just like to be aware. It settles me. I'm not about to. Don't come and stress me, please. And then I think friendship. Friendship is very important to me as well on that. And I've noticed also that different things that I want changes depending on the person. There are some things that I require Now, don't get me wrong, some things are standard, but there are some things I will require from person A, and then I'll come to person B and I will adjust that list what I expect, because different people come with different sets of gifts and personalities and characteristics and all that. So I think to just have one blanket one is not fair to everybody. So I try to adjust, if that makes sense, a little bit, tweaks, but
All right. Okay. Wait, they can either join you in prayer or leave you alone, right?
yeah.
Okay. We're just making sure.
Mm-hmm.
Tutu, you all set now?
I mean, everybody basically said.
Don't say what everybody said. No,
No, I'm not going. Let me land. Let me go. I would like a person that motivates me, that inspires me. Somebody that's gonna be like, babe, the sky is not the limit. You want to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G? You can do it. Like somebody that pushes me and just like, you got it. Somebody that doesn't make me, if I'm having doubts in my head, you can just be like, you got it, and I'll be like, damn, I got it. I can do it. Somebody also that's God-fearing. Somebody that is also, I'm very big, and I keep saying this, somebody that loves their family. I'm very, because that's how you determine, you can actually see a real person when it comes to how they treat their family. And last but not least, I would say, I'm going to say honest, but also can communicate. And that's something that I'm working on. I'm not the best communicator, but when you really want to be with somebody, you want to make something work, you don't have a problem speaking you don't have a problem speaking about the uncomfortable. Somebody that you could just be, you like, transparent. So honest, transparent person.
Nice.
Yeah, let's wrap up like this. We've spoken a lot about standards, preferences, non-negotiables, drama, masculine, feminine. But all of that, to me, it shines a spotlight on the elephant in the room: loneliness. None of us on here are married, as far as I know. We have standards. We've said all these things. Is anybody worried about dying alone? Like they say. Are you gonna be that lady with 7 cats? Are you dealing with loneliness? How do you work around that, if at all?
I read I don't know if it's a book but the line kind of stood up with me is that it's one thing to feel alone versus to feel lonely. Now, if you get into a relationship because you feel lonely and you're hoping that the relationship will make that loneliness feeling magically disappear, then you're getting into it for the wrong reasons. If you can be alone without feeling lonely, then you're getting to a point where you can, I don't know if the word is entertain somebody else's someone else's company without feeling like you need them to fill a void. And actually I occasionally have this conversation. I have conversations with myself, and I say, if because I've gone from God bless me with XYZ to God, may your will be done, and if it's your will that marriage is not in the cards for me, then you know how you would help me handle whatever lies ahead. And some days I'm just like, okay, fine. I'm a loner to start with. I enjoy my own company. I'm an introvert, but sometimes I love to have deep, thought-provoking conversations with people. And I've come to realize that not everybody is into that. Not everybody enjoys it or can handle it. So yeah, I'm okay with temporary being alone, but if this is what it's gonna be for the long haul, then I want to believe God is gonna have that for a reason, and He's gonna see me through it, and He's gonna help me handle it. Because God forbid, I mean, there was a point where I felt like a relationship was needed to feel fulfilled. Is it a great thing? Is companionship and partnership a great thing? Yeah, but I'm getting to a point where if it is, if it would be, it would be, and if it won't, it won't.
I agree. I think. Does anybody want to be lonely? No, but I mean, I know how to be lonely. I can be by myself. I don't need to always have somebody around. But I wouldn't like that. So just like Lonnie said, if it is, then it is. I can't. Who am I to really, sit here and cry and complain? If it's what it's meant to be, then it will.
You don't sound too sure about that.
No, I am sure. No. I really am sure. Like
You sure? Because when you're scratching your forehead there, you're like, I'm looking for.
Sorry, no, because the week is itching. Sorry. But no, I'm okay. I'm okay being alone. I don't want to, but I'm okay. I will be okay.
Watch Cookie in 5 years. Hopefully not, but yeah.
Don't ask me in 5 years. No. And the year, please. I will be not lonely.
That's why I said hopefully not. Hopefully,
yeah.
I need to check that. No.
We claim it for you.
Yeah.
For me, it does get lonely sometimes. Honestly, it does get lonely sometimes. But I'd rather be lonely alone than lonely in a relationship. I have been lonely in a relationship, and it is worse to me than being lonely alone. Because I've experienced both. But it does. And the prayer is that I find my person. The prayer is that I get to, I'm like, if God has given me this desire, I will hope that He will fulfill it. One of my prayers is that I'm able to really love somebody in the capacity that I can, because I don't feel like I've ever done it fully for different reasons. I have loved, but I don't know if I've done it in a full capacity of the way I can love somebody. So that is one of the things I would like to experience before I leave this world. But yeah, that's how I feel about it.
I agree with you, Whitney. It does get lonely, especially when you have all these standards and value for yourself, right? And I feel like sometimes we're not honest with ourselves or with even people around us to say it does get lonely sometimes. The days you just want to share something with somebody, and then you look around, it's nothing but you and four walls, right? And then you don't have that. Like, don't get me wrong, friends and family support system and that, but that person, your person, where the first good news you have, you want to text them or you want to call them, or someone piss you off, you want to quickly. Sometimes I pick my phone like, unless you got Jesus' number, ain't nobody, you're not about to text nobody. But it does get lonely, but I do agree with you. There was one time I was I guess I'll say, contemplating prayerfully about this whole thing. And I was like, God damn, like, I want my person. Like, why can't I have my person? And then it just dawned on me, which I should have thought about before, that, well, now I'm here, I got to deal with loneliness, right? You have a person, and then you got to deal with people who have persons type of problems. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not like that gives you a passage to the glorious life in paradise. You do get it comes with its own set of problems. So it's like, which one do you want? Like, either ways, you're gonna have to deal with some shit, right? But again, I agree when you say it's better to be this way alone than to be alone in a relation. I have been alone too in a relationship, and obviously it did not end well because I was like, it was less hurtful by myself. It was less hurtful. So, and I still wish that they would have picked me, but they did not. So, but it does get lonely, but it's not the worst thing on earth. Absolutely not.
Loneliness comes to peace. Let me just put that out there.
Loneliness comes to peace.
It does. Let me tell you. I'm always like, one thing, these things on the internet, but it is very true, right? We're fighting to, we want to be, I feel like most people want to be in a relationship. Some people don't, because when you get into a relationship, like Therese said, it comes with its own problems, its own things. Then now you have to deal with this, you have to deal with that. Somebody always in your space, all of that. I mean, you'll find your this thing, but it comes with its own challenges. But even when let's say I'm contemplating dating or something, are you bringing, you literally, I was like, it's almost like you're competing with the peace that I have. Are you going to make this space better, or you're going to stress this space? So
and that makes you less tolerant of people.
Exactly. That is the disadvantage. So like everything comes with its own set of problems. Like,
and then the older you get, it doesn't get easier either.
It doesn't, because now you get more set in your ways.
Yeah.
Now they label you that you married your career. That's why you are alone.
Nice.
And single, and you will die. Nobody will take care of you because you don't have children. Hey, you're going to work. Hey, you did not.
Well, they'll just put you on a stick like marshmallow and burn.
I tell you, it is well with the righteous.
Yeah. So anyways, man, this was a great conversation. Appreciate you guys. Tutu, do you have word of the week, or no more question to ask?
Yeah, I have word of the week today. I went back to word of the week, but it's a very easy word. Today's word of the week is artisanal, and it is ARTISANAL. It's an adjective, and it is of a product, especially food or drink, made in a traditional or non-mechanized way.
Palm wine.
Can you make palm wine in an artisanal way? In like different way that's not the traditional, like it has different ways to make it?
I don't think so. Sorry.
Well, if it did, then it could have been artisanal. We could have used it in the sentence. But
maybe sha.
Maybe what?
Sorry, sha. Like fermented maize.
You can use it in cheese. You can say like, I love the artisanal cheese from the local market. Or you can say like, she enjoys making artisanal soaps or things like that. Yeah.
Like Therese loves making artisanal bread.
Yeah. Well, you be making different types of, you can use that. Yeah.
She makes different types. Star, square, triangle, circles.
And you don't make them in the traditional way. You have different ways of how you make your stuff. So that works. Look at you, AK. Wow, you give us a sentence.
Yeah, I've been taking too much backlash on this one, so I'm representing now.
Well, thank you. That's the word of the week, y'all. Artisanal.
Yeah, so hopefully I remember this in the next 5 minutes. But anyways, thank you guys. We greatly appreciate it. You guys sharing. Oh, by the way, that was a very strong, revelation there. I don't, you don't hear a lot of people saying, I've never really experienced love or, I've never really given my full, potential out there like that. So, hey, kudos to you, man. Hopefully, whoever receives it, you'll be receiving the first hand. You're not receiving second hand.
Amen.
So, that guy. Anyways, thank you all. Any final thoughts, comments, questions, concerns before close? Okay. If you've made it this far, you're a great one. Hopefully you enjoy the conversation. Please share your thoughts, comments, concerns. Let us know what you think. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Leave in the comments, whatever social platforms you want, or right here, on YouTube or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whichever you're listening from. We'll greatly appreciate it. I am one of your hosts, Uncle AK, Therese, Tutu, my other host, our guest today, Miss Lee, Whitney, and Manet joining us from, I'm not going to say the locations, but anyways, thank you guys. Thank you all, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.